if you are at this point and you are questioning what is meaningful in your life, what is fulfilling, or what is your purpose, or that you're at this stage of life and you think, what on earth are my next steps right now, because life has thrown me something that I'm not sure what to do with, then what I will say to you is, if you are ambitious enough, this time will come to all of us, and what we do with it matters. And so I would say that there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing to fix. It is an opportunity to change the way that we live and grow and expand so that we live a more fulfilling and meaningful life. The word purpose, unfortunately, is thrown around in our society, and it typically is thrown around in a way that says to you, you have one purpose, that you are here to either, if you're not saving the world, or if you are, everyone's not shouting your name, then you are lacking in something. And so what I need you to know is that is where purpose has got misunderstood, and we are about to unpack it in a different way that gives you some understanding around some measurable steps so that you can bring this sense of meaning and purpose and fulfillment in, and also this sense of ambition. When we think about the word purpose, in your 20s, early 20s, it was very unlikely that you sat there and went, what's my purpose? It usually happens for a reason, and it usually happens typically through this midlife. A midlife disentanglement, and it can happen, there's no schedule for this. It could happen somewhere as early as early 30s, it could happen as late as mid 50s, but somewhere in there we start to question, is this it? Are we doing enough? All of these questions, and we start to look sideways and see other people doing things and question, is mine the right way? And so it could also come through a stage of life or something being thrown at you that really shines a light on whether you have made the right decisions in life. And so we have two choices when we hit this stage. And the very common one is that we tend to stuff it down, cover it with dirt, and try and push through with the same patterns of thinking and behaving that we have carried our entire life. We kind of sit there going, la 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 la, I'm not listening. But not in a cute little childlike way. What that looks like for us if we're pushing it down is either tightening the grip on something and trying to control the heck out of it. It may look like numbing behaviors, spending, over planning, being really, really busy, eating, drinking, perfecting any of those things. It might look like an outburst. It might look like, and that can happen anywhere. It might be that you're standing at the dishwasher and somewhere back in that subconscious, the question is this it, as you're emptying the dishwasher? And when that happens, it might show up as an outburst to someone walking past, or that did the tiniest thing that on another day wouldn't worry you. So it can show up like that if we keep shoveling dirt on top of everything that we're trying to protect and hide from about ourselves. Or what we can do is start this disentanglement process, and we can start to unpack everything that we've believed and hid from and tried to cover up about ourselves that perhaps we don't like. And the difficulty in this is it takes grieving. It takes the loss of all the stuff that we knew, and it's messy. And what it is I like to call it the death of the 8-year-old, the death of what we picked up and never questioned during that such a sensitive age where those beliefs came to reality for us in our lives. Brene Brown says, she has a quote, and it says, it's a painful irony that the very things that may have kept us safe growing up ultimately get in the way of our becoming the parents, partners, and or people that we want to be. The things that get in the way of living purposely and to our fullest ambitions. So maybe like me, you are the perfectionist or the achiever. And so the way that this stuffing down shows up could be that you are paralyzed in the comfort of safety. Paralyzed in the things that you know are safe, that you're good at. Paralyzed in busyness, in repetition of what you know, in this fear of failure. Or perhaps you could be someone who works really hard in life to keep people at a safe distance. Keep them at a safe enough distance so that you never have to be vulnerable enough, and they then never can judge you or reject you in life. And so what sometimes happens if you're that type of a person is that eventually it shows up in life as this painful loneliness almost. We don't ever connect with someone or get close enough and show that vulnerability to be able to have that true connection that feels good and fulfilling in life. Or perhaps you grew up as this carer or pleaser, however that came about. And through this caring and pleasing, you lost part of yourself or an understanding of who you are, and you lost touch with the fact that you can have ambition and purpose and it's not selfish. And so what we need to do in that is stop shoving that stuff down and repeating those habits and start caring and looking after ourselves, and start to set some really clear boundaries on how we show up for other people and how we show up for ourselves. Whatever the concern is, what I know is that it typically in that first half of our life, we shovel dirt on top of all of those things that we are trying to protect and keep us safe. And then somewhere in this time, we start to question whether we're living our life or whether we're living other people's expectations. And then this last half, or this midlife disentanglement, is really about, if we're open to it, is about trying to dig ourselves back out of that hole and really trying to understand what brings us meaning and purpose and how we can do that in our lives. When it comes to ambition, again, society affects that, and it does it by saying to you, probably at 8 years of age or younger, you're either an ambitious person or you're not. Whether you remember it, it would have been labeled upon you and limited you into either you are ambitious or you're not. And that is because in schooling environments, you're ambitious if you're the excellent sports person, or you're ambitious if your academic work is exceptional. And if it wasn't, if perhaps you were more of a carer, perhaps an ambition later in life was around creating the most connected, nourished, and close connected family that you could do. Now, there's no different in ambition in terms of are you ambitious or not. We all have this inner ambition, this potential, but unfortunately society says that you're only ambitious if it's in a professional setting. And so in this process, I really want us to understand that there's a whole series of ambition there, and sometimes if we're living into society's ambitions, it may not feel like that we are that way. So what I'm looking at in this process is redefining purpose and ambition into something that is measurable, something that you can start to unpack why you have done things a certain way and what gets in the way of that feeling of a purposeful life. We are going to look at disentangling that first half of your life. We will start to dig out of what we're doing little by little. So in the toolbox in this section, there are a whole bunch of things, but as we move through the science and research and understanding around what purpose and ambition really are into this measurable framework, what you will do is identify the things that you're lacking in that purpose. I call it the applied purpose framework or system, and you'll find what's missing in there for you and start to pull out the tools relevant to that. Or there are some things that get in the way of this applied purpose piece coming to life, and so you will look at those things that are relevant to those. So it's not about doing everything in the toolbox, it's about picking out the ones that will start to strengthen this purpose framework for you. So enjoy. We'll see you on the other side. Take care.